All right, well, let's do it. So 3, 2, 1. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was synced. We're getting started. Today, this morning, I have the pleasure of interviewing a friend from when we actually lived in Hawaii. Um, we have some experience in network marketing, and you know, I just want to take this time to allow anyone that is interested in the real estate space, right, the industry, maybe even investing or even understanding, VA processes. You know, get your paper, get your pen, and get ready because this man, he's about to share some gems with you about how he's gotten started and where he's at now. So without further ado, my good friend Kazeem, welcome to the podcast, man.
I appreciate it, Jay. Happy to be here. It's an honor.
Absolutely, man. And so, I first want to start off by introducing you. If you can share a little bit of your story. I mean, you don't have to get full depth, but just a little bit about yourself. So the people that are watching can kind of come to an understanding of who you are, where you started, to identify with you. Yeah.
Okay. My name's Kazeem. My mom is Colombian. My dad is Jamaican. I was born and raised in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. So that's like 30 minutes from Miami, if people aren't familiar. I had a good life. I had a very easy life. And I was never hungry. I was never felt poor. I always got what I wanted.
That's good.
Within reason, I wasn't about to get the hottest, game system right off the shelf, but I got it like a year after, and my parents did the best they could, and that's all you can really ask for, behind the scenes. Of course, there was problems, but I didn't find out till as an adult. And I was not the smartest kid. I was C plus,
The plus, the
I
plus.
barely made it, and I didn't talk a lot. I had a lot of self-esteem issues. And then I started coming out of my shell, and my sophomore, senior year, started becoming the funny guy, always saying some slick shit. And then when I was 17, my dad, he was like, I was like, I don't know what I want to do. He's like, well, you got to do something that you like to do, that way you enjoy your job. And I was like, because I was working at Papa John's. I was 17. I hated it. I was trying to hang out with my friends, but at the same time, I had a girlfriend and I needed, she wanted to go out on dates, and the $20 my mom gave me wasn't enough anymore.
Yeah, that motivation. That
Yeah,
why.
I was highly motivated. So I was making like 100 a week part-time. It was great. I was pocketing money. And
How's
that's
that tip money? Was the tip money good or
yeah.
okay.
Sometimes, because some people will give me like $5, I'm like, oh snap, or it was a cake job. I will say that I was a terrible employee in hindsight. I was usually late sometimes just because I was with my girlfriend and I had to catch the bus. I missed that one bus and I was like, I'm gonna be late. I already know. And when I was hungry, I'll mess up the order. Now I got pizza on the side, and then I'll eat pizza at the front counter. And when people
As
come,
people ordering, you eat pizza.
yeah, I was eating pizza. I'll put it underneath the counter so they couldn't see it, but I still had pizza in my mouth. So I'll be like, welcome Papa John's. But yeah. And I'm like, all right, no doubt. But I did everything. I cleaned. I did more than I was asked. But I wasn't really the best employee.
Yeah.
But it was good for a time, until it hit me. And I was like, I told you I wasn't the smartest kid, so I wasn't getting no scholarships. And no one told me to apply for the free money, whatever. And my parents didn't have money for college. So I was like, shit, I have to go to community college. I was like, I hated the people from high school. Now I'm gonna be with them again. I was like, oh, I ain't doing that, man. I ain't doing that. And I was like, well, I could go full-time Papa John's. I was like, I ain't going full-time Papa John's. And then I was like, what am I gonna do? I'm gonna pick up, work at Chili's. My options were very limited as a
You
17.
leveled up from Domino's to Chili.
I was like, what am I gonna do? And then I was like, and then I was in ROTC. So that kind of like had me in that environment.
Yeah.
And the stigma was like, they're gonna send you to Iraq, they're gonna send you to die. And then hanging out with them, they're pretty chill dudes talking to the recruiters.
Right.
And it boiled down to I wanted to do the Marines first because I wanted that passive knowledge. Like I wanted to learn how to fight. I wanted to learn, I want that fitness lifestyle, hardcore, Marines lifestyle. And the Marine recruiter turned me off because like I was 17, but I wasn't stupid. And then he had these plaques and he was like, hey, Kazeem, what's the most important thing to you? And I was like, family, money, travel. He's like, all right, so you know what the Marines can do for you? They're going to send you to whatever country you want. You're going to be making money doing it. And with that money, you could take care of your family. I was like, word, okay. And I'm like, this guy's he's just going off of what I like,
Yeah.
And he showed me the video boot camp.
Yep.
And I'm like, 3 months? I want to be in boot camp for 3 months. And what really killed it for me was he went to my grandma's house at like 7:00 at night. Damn. I don't live at my grandma's house, but that's where I was registered at the school. So I don't know how he found out, but he just showed up. And my grandmother's Jamaican, and she's like, she had her bat, and she called my dad. She's like, "There's a black man in front of my house, and I don't know what to do." And then my dad's like, "What?" He's like, he says he's from the Marines. I was like, oh my God, dude. Why is he at my grandma's house?
Man, hey, they know how to find you, bro.
I was like, nah, dude. I was like, screw the Marines. I don't want to.
Yeah.
And then the Navy recruiter hit me up, and she was bad. I'm not gonna lie. She was very attractive. And I was like, let's see what's up with this. And I ended up liking the Navy uniforms out of all the uniforms. And honestly, that's what it boiled down to. I was like, I like the Navy uniforms more, so I'm signing up.
So that's why you joined the Navy.
That's why I joined the Navy. I have shame. I just was like, okay, cool.
So I admit, when I was first getting into the process of joining the military, it was the Navy. The Navy was the first thing for me. I have an experience where the Navy recruiter, he actually came to my house at 5 a.m. and I was like, bro, I'm not doing this, but that's for another story, man. But what helped you transition, I guess, because you served how long in the military?
10 years.
10 years. So what did you do in the military?
I was a CS, which is a culinary specialist. So I was basically a cook. I was a CSS. I was specialized, or I was classified as a submariner. So I was cooking on a submarine.
On a submarine.
Yeah.
But so when you got in, that was, you trained, like they taught you how to cook, everything. Like you didn't have any prior experience to that.
And that goes back to what my dad was telling me when do what you like, and I was like, well, I like to cook. And that's where I was like, okay, I'm gonna be a cook in the military. I couldn't cook for shit. I could make, I could make spaghetti. I make spaghetti with the Prego sauce, and I thought I was cool.
Nah, man, you ain't like to cook, you like to eat, man. That's what it is.
And that was the other thing. I was like, yeah. And then that was terrible. I was terrible. I made, I told my aunt I wanted to cook. So she's like, okay, make me something. I found this barbecue spaghetti recipe. The recipe had pork in it. The pork was tough. The sauce was gamey because it required ketchup. I put too much ketchup. It was terrible. We ordered pizza. We didn't eat it.
This is for when?
And
This is for when?
this was when I was before I joined the
Oh,
military.
before you joined. Okay, okay.
This was I graduated, but my aunt was like trying to manifest my cooking
Yeah.
passion,
Didn't work
and
out.
it's okay, we'll order pizza, don't worry about it. And I was like, this shit sucks.
Man.
But to answer your question, they did teach me. It was a month of schooling, like the bare minimum. It was like we did roasted chicken, we made gravy, we learned how to bake, but in reality, you learn when you're there. Like you figure it out.
On the job type of training. Okay.
So you gonna keep fucking up until you get it right, basically.
So was there a checklist, if you will, like, well, I'm granted there's ingredients, right? But there was a checklist of how you had to do things, procedures on how you had to do things. Did that work for you, or was
Yeah.
it set up that way already?
So there was a CS qualification card, and it's up to your leader whether or not you qualify or not. You don't have to do anything, but then there's recipe cards, which would be our publications that we, depending on your leader, they either demanded that you follow those recipe cards, and those recipe cards are trash.
Yeah, yeah,
They're I'll never forget prime rib. The prime rib recipe card was prime rib, pepper, and salt. And I was like,
peppers. That's it.
that's all it took.
Yeah.
But luckily I had a good leader, and he was like, yo, I don't care what you do as long as everyone's happy.
Yeah.
So I got creative.
That's good, man. That's important. That's something that we got to hit on, that, having that good leadership. It's not about somebody holding your hand. It's not about micromanaging, but it's like, look, do the job. If a good leader is gonna let you do the job, but they're not gonna let you, really completely mess it up, right? They'll oversee everything that's going on, the operation. That's their job, obviously, right? But they're not gonna let you screw it up so much to the point where you're affecting everyone else, or the entire process. So that's good. That's part of a good leadership, man. That's what I like about the military. Having, they not to say that everyone is good at those leadership positions, but when you do get someone, they do assist, and they they help you want to do your best in what you're doing, whether or not you're good at it. You're gonna learn how to do something because you have that good leadership. Yeah, 100%.
And you know the difference between a good and a bad leader, and you're like, I want to be like that guy. I want to be more like this person, or I'm gonna take bits and pieces and become my own, because eventually you're gonna be a leader yourself. So you gotta get it figured out by that time.
Way to think, man. That's the way to think about it, for sure. And so what could you say? Well, when was your first, like, thinking time that you thought about real estate? Like, you were like, all right, this is something I want to get into. What inspired you to get into that?
It started with I had a lot of frustration in the military.
This was what year was this? Like, within the military, not the year.
I would say I was in my fourth year. I was in like my fourth year, maybe in between my third and my fourth. And I was frustrated because whenever I wanted to go see my family, they wouldn't let me. And then my grandfather died, suddenly, and I wanted to go to his funeral. They were like, nah. And I was like, okay, can I do emergency leave? And they were like, did he raise you? And I was like, no. They're like, well, then he wasn't, he's not immediate part of your family, so he's not. And I was like, you're essential to the readiness of the ship. You're a cook. And I'm like, bro, like, they could cover me for like a week. They're like, no, we're going out to sea for 2 weeks, so you can't be gone for a week. So obviously I was highly upset, very bitter, very angry. And that was like the starting point for me, because I'm like, I ain't doing this shit. You're not, if I had kids, if I had, like anything happens, I want to be able to go be there for them. And then,
You couldn't do too much,
yeah, I always have to ask for permission. It wasn't, that was very frustrating for me. And then I ran into the network marketing group that we were a part of, and that gave me like, I saw the light at the end of the tunnel, basically. Like, I'm like, there's more to this than the military, and they had me reading books that I knew of, I thought about. I had some of those books, I just never read them, but they say, hey, you got to read these books. And the first one was Rich Dad Poor Dad, of course. And that got my little hamster going. I'm like, okay, financial freedom, residual income, this, that, and the third, business mindset. And I was 23 or 24 when I was like, I want to buy a house, and I told myself I'm gonna buy a house in Hawaii, because I'm like, there's only so much land. Like, I'm gonna buy a house in Hawaii. But one of my leaders was like, why would you buy a house in Hawaii? You're leaving, right? You're not staying in Hawaii. And I was like, yeah, but I just want to buy it so I have it, and then I could rent it out or sell it. He's like, mind you, he never owned anything in his life.
Yeah,
He had
I really like that, man.
he had a Toyota Tacoma, you know, but he lives in a penthouse. He lived in a penthouse in Waikiki, and it was a cool penthouse, but it's not his. So I listened to him. I was like, yeah, you're right. I'll just wait till I go to my next duty station.
How many years from the time that happened until the time that you actually bought the first one? How many years?
I would say like a year and a half.
Okay,
Because
not that much time.
it wasn't that much. It wasn't that much. But when I look back on it, I'm like, yo, how much money I could have made off that house if I did buy it. And then
Hawaii, man.
yeah, because back then, in like Eva, you want to live in Eva, maybe like Pearl City. That was where I was thinking about living.
Yeah.
Housing over there was probably like 300,000 at the time. Now, what I mean? Like,
Look at what it is now.
I don't want to. I already, it's like probably double. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
No, probably for sure. Yeah.
I don't want to look at it. So I'm like, okay, that's what I get for listening to people that aren't in line with my goals. So, but I was like, no matter what, wherever I'm going next, I'm buying a house. And that was my mindset. So,
and that's here in Jacksonville.
Yeah. So I was stationed in Kings Bay, Georgia, which is like 30 minutes from Jacksonville.
Mm-hmm.
So, but when you go in Kings Bay, it's like a Walmart in the base in the swamp. They ain't shit there.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm not living here. I was single. What I mean? I'm not trying to live here. And then people tell you go to Yulee, Florida, which is like in between Kings Bay and Jacksonville. It was nothing but rednecks and Confederate flags. At the time, I'm like, I'm not living here.
Yeah.
So I went a little bit more south, and now I live in the north side of Jacksonville. It took me 2 months to buy a house. It took me a month to find it and then to close.
And you did all of it by yourself, or did you work with a realtor? Or
I worked so again, no one helped me with this. Mm-hmm. Like I would talk to my leaders. They don't know anything about buying a house. And I was like, okay. So I went on Zillow, I went on all these websites, I put interested. So I had like 20 agents calling me.
Right.
Because I didn't know any better. And they all were calling me about the same fucking house or about a different house. And then I was like, all right, bet. Send me the address, I'll be there. And it got to the point where agents were showing me the same houses, and I was like, hey, I already saw this house, and I pulled out, and I'm like, I ain't give a fuck, and I'm sure they were bad, but, I didn't care because I'm on a mission.
Yeah.
And I met this one dude, Nate Watson, and he was a real cool dude. He started like showing me around areas because I didn't know anything about Jacksonville. I just knew I wanted to be in a particular area because I didn't want to commute more than like 40 minutes.
Nate, did Nate have properties that you had requested to see, or he was one of those that reached out and was just like, let me just show you around?
I told him what I was looking for, and then he was showing me different houses than what the other agents were showing me.
Okay.
So, and I submitted one contract, and I'll never forget it because he was like, all right, man, like I'm gonna submit it, but it's probably not gonna get accepted because I was like, in the contract, I asked for them to cut down one of the branches because one of the branches was touching the roof, and I didn't like it.
Yeah,
And,
hey, gotta get what you like, man.
and I think I asked like 3,000 below list price or whatever. And at the time,
included. So it's cut down and 3,000 below. Okay, gotcha.
So they were like, you didn't get it. So the next time he was like, look, we're gonna do what I say, and you're gonna get the house. And I was like, all right. So
let's back up a little bit. So let's talk about all right, so we spoke about you looking for the home. Now, did you go look for a home first, or were you already approved from the VA? I'm assuming you did the VA loan, correct?
yeah, I went VA, and I already had it in my head.
How was that process with the VA loan? What did you first do? How did you get approved? And then is that what you did, right? So you got the VA loan, then you were looking for a home, or
that's
okay. So tell us that process right there for the VA loan.
Yeah, so very simple, honestly, because in my head I was like, I already got my bank with Navy Federal. I'm gonna go with Navy Federal. They told me my interest rate would be 3.6. And I was like, that's not too bad. This was 2017. I was like, okay, 3.6, that's not too bad. They told me I was pre-approved for 185,000. And I was like, oh man, I'm like, that's not a lot. But I was like, I'll make it work. Because I took a pay cut coming here from Hawaii, mind you.
Yeah.
So
credit score was okay?
One more time?
Credit score was okay?
I couldn't hear you.
Your credit score was okay?
Oh yeah. I had a 720 at the time.
Okay.
Yeah, I had a 720 at the time. And they said, hey, submit these documents, your pay stubs, which is my pay account, just my LES. I printed out like 3 of those. I printed off my orders just to show proof I was in the military, and they pulled my credit, and I think I got my approval in like less than 3 days.
Nice.
So super easy. It doesn't take a lot. They're just gonna run your credit, Yeah. And I would recommend anybody shop around, because you don't just go to one, you're not gonna go to one store. You're gonna go to all the stores, see the best deal, what works best for you. So I did that. So I already had my letter, and I told him, I was like, I got money. I'm good. Because the hardest thing for an agent is working with clients that don't have a pre-approval or they got cash.
Then we're gonna look for houses first.
Yeah.
And it's always the most expensive.
Yep. Because I had 8,000 in the savings, and then I had another 7,000 in IRA account. So going through the process, he took me to this one neighborhood, and there was 2 houses for sale. They were townhouses. One was a 3-2 and one was a 2-2. 2 bed, 2 bath.
Right.
And I looked at one. The 3 bedroom, 2 bath was nice. One of the bedrooms had pink walls, and I was like, pink walls and stickers on it, and I was like, I don't want this house. Mind you, I could have painted it, but
this was a 3-2.
Yeah, there's a 3-2, so it was maybe like 100 square feet bigger than the other one.
Oh yeah.
So, because relatively speaking, it's the same layout. They just one had a bigger loft than the other one. The 2 bed, 2 bath had a big loft, which was basically takes up where that extra bedroom would be.
Right. Yeah.
So I was like, I'm not feeling it. That one was listed for 138,000.
Yeah, okay.
And then the 2 bed, 2 bath was listed for 134,000. So I was like, okay, and that one had a bomb view. Like it had a nice little lake view, and it had laminate wood floors, had wood floors on it, where the other one had like tile. And I like the wood floors more. Um, so long story short, I put an offer in for the 2 bed, 2 bath because I was single. It was just me. I didn't really want a roommate because
So
I
you
already
didn't want too much, yeah, too much to deal with. Yeah, I got it.
I could afford it. I wasn't tripping about it. So I was like, I'm just gonna get the 2-2. And he was like, all right, you're gonna offer 4,000 over list price, and you're gonna pay all closing costs. And I was like, for real? He's like, do you want the house? I was like, all right.
And this is
I did it.
2017. Okay.
So this is 2017. So I did that. The house appraised for 140. So I was like, okay. So I paid 138. Because it appraised high, I was able to lump in some of the closing costs into the loan.
Yeah.
So in this market, it doesn't work. But
Yeah.
if it was a different market, you can actually lump in your closing costs into the loan.
Nice.
So I think I took like 2,000 off, and I had the cash in reserves to pay the closing costs because you do need cash for closing costs. A lot of people don't know that.
Yeah.
And it is zero down. I didn't pay any percentage up front. I just had to pay closing costs
Right.
and whatever fees that came up because I had to pay inspections. I had to pay this. Um, in hindsight, I would say for inspections, use a credit card because I used cash, and that could have tied me up because inspections cost like $600.
Yeah, they can be pricey. Yeah.
So, and I was excited, I did everything. Come to find out, I overpaid by like 6,000, but I was like, I got the house, and that's what matters.
So that brings me to the next question. That's a good point. So what now that you realize and you found out, I paid over, what would you say are learning curves when you're going through this process, that people don't know from the get, like they have a difficult time or they'll find out later on? How's the learning curve?
Um, I would say listen to your realtor because they're the experts, they're the specialists. You may think you know the market, you may think you know everything, you don't know shit.
Yeah.
You only know what your friends tell you and what you see on social media. Um, because if I had listened to my realtor the first time, I would have got that house. Probably. We don't know. It doesn't really matter. But I tell anybody, have cash. You have to have cash, at least $10,000.
10,000. And that's for closing costs, for down payment, for,
Anything.
anything. Okay.
You just
Okay.
want to have that in reserve because if you don't, you're not going to have a lot of buying power or wiggle room because in a regular market, like, not even talking about this market, like in a regular market, what would make you stand out? In this market, why would a seller accept your offer if you're giving them list price and they're paying their closing costs? Like, it doesn't make sense.
Mhm.
So give them reasons to accept your offer, which would be you're paying their closing costs, you're going above list price, and that's the biggest learning curve for me was, okay, save the cash, use credit cards if I can, and do what the realtor tells you to do.
Find someone that you can trust for sure.
Yeah. Find an agent that will teach you
Mm.
because he didn't teach me about real estate. He just showed me areas and kind of told me little bits and pieces and recommended some restaurants, which I valued because that mattered to me. But he didn't teach me about real estate.
Let's say, yeah. Did
So
he go over in depth with you, the contract or,
no,
the details of it? Okay.
he just sent me the DocuSign. He said, "Hey,
Yeah.
fill this out
Yeah.
and then send it back to me." I was like, I'm very simple. I'm like, all right, boop,
I
boop,
hear this,
boop,
yeah.
boop.
Yeah, we do that a lot blindly, man. I myself have gotten into the space where, I'm real, um, what's the word? I not that I'm gonna ask a million questions, but we need to have a good understanding of this contract, right? Exactly what it is that I'm signing. It's not to say that you can't back out of a contract, or once you sign, it's you got this, you're indebted for life. But it's good to read this to understand. And that's one of the things that I feel is a learning curve for a lot of people. They don't take the time. And this is for any contract. You're talking houses, cars, you name it. Okay, so that was one of the learning curves right there for you, is knowing the process, pretty much, not knowing um exactly how to go about in either buying, looking for the right property, maybe negotiating. You can say, well, is that like some of the learning curves?
Absolutely. At the time, again, I didn't know any better for anything. Now I know, like, hey, there's ways to make yourself attractive or negotiate. You can fight for some things. I never asked for anything.
Yeah,
Nothing came up.
yeah, yeah.
Nothing came up in inspection. I was never like,
You did
hey,
ask for that before. You did ask for that, the branch to be torn down.
yeah, but that was just because that was stupid.
Yeah, yeah,
I could have bought after I closed. I could have just knocked that off.
yeah. And we do
But
that. We do that because we think, oh, I want to kind of get my way, not knowing, man, that's nothing. Like, that's not negotiating. You can do that later. You're like, that's nothing.
yeah,
No,
so
100%.
like that. But like now you can say, okay, hey, I want a credit for this because of this,
Yeah.
or hey, um, I want this fixed before we close or whatever. Because when I moved in,
Randoms and all that. Yeah.
yeah, so when I moved in, I was like, man, this thing's messed up. And I was like, it was nothing crazy. It was just like the light switch.
Yeah.
It was like it was one screw in it, and it was like spinning.
Ah, yeah.
And I was like, come on, man, you gonna
So simple. Yeah. But you feel like you spent your money on this, and this is like your investment, that you want everything to be right. Nah. Nah. Unless you find 1.5, then you can argue. But I get it. I get the mindset is, this is mine. I'm spending all this money. I'm putting all my effort, all my energy into this thing, and I want it to be perfect. And not to minimize 180,000 or 140,000 home, but you get what you pay for. You know what I mean? And there comes the negotiating skills, right? So
that's what the agent shines.
right. And so let me ask you, did you think at any point from the time you started, right, with your first home to where you are now, that you would be where you are now? That at any point did you say, yes, this is what I'm going to be doing? Because in fact, tell us a little bit about what you're doing now.
So to answer the first question, no. Uh, I'll people, people tell you what you should do, and like, yo, Kazeem, you gotta open up a restaurant. Your food on social media is so good. Oh my God. Or people eat my food because sometimes I'll cook for my people and be like, yo, man, this food's so bomb. Like, you gotta do catering business, you gotta do this. And I'm like, yeah, I should do that, because people hype you up. And I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, so I had in my head, that's probably what I'll do. I don't know. And I did it for a little bit. I had a little private dinner, events here and there here in Jacksonville. It was cool, but I wasn't excited about it. Like, I enjoy cooking. I have a passion for it, but I didn't want to be a cook the rest of my life.
Gotcha.
Even if I owned a restaurant or a franchise, that's not what I wanted for myself. Granted, I still want to do that, but I'm not going to be in the kitchen. It'll be my recipes, you know, my name or
Real estate.
my vision,
Yeah.
but I'm not gonna be in there. I might go in there, fuck with the cooks, show them, I mean, y'all fucking this up, that's but they
Yeah,
don't know who I am, but I'm
yeah,
not gonna be in there every day. I got too much going on.
yeah.
And what I do now, I'm a full-time agent. And the transition for that was real estate is always going to exist. But even before that, when I was getting out, I had it in my head, I need to do real estate because that's one of the biggest keys to success in residual income. You know, you got to start somewhere. I did a lot of wholesaling. I went to a couple seminars, you know, and I'm like, man, wholesaling is easy. I'll do a flip here and there, you know, and it's not easy. You know, it was super stressful because, you know, you're driving for dollars, you're looking for, you know, distressed properties.
Yeah.
Mind you, I'm still active duty, you know, so I'm here in the kitchen, you know, I'm getting phone calls from cash buyers. I sent them a house, and you know, I'm like, hey, I gotta take a break. They're like, yo, it's lunch hour. Like, what do you mean? Couldn't leave. Call them back. They're like, nah, B, like you couldn't answer the phone for me, so I took my money somewhere else. And I'm like, yo, I'm trying to close on this house. And it just became real stressful. And I would tell everybody, I'm like, yo, if I wasn't bald, I would have lost my hair because like that shit was so stressful because I'm like, all right, yo, I got 20 days. I gotta find somebody. And then honestly, if it's a deal, it's not gonna be hard to sell. And that's one lesson I had to learn because I went to this one networking event and this one couple, because I told them I'm a real estate investor, blah, 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 you know, hyping myself up. And this one older couple were like, hey, we want you to buy our house. And I was like, okay, you know, let me see it. You know, I'm gonna take some pictures. And then I did my homework. I'm like, okay, and this is like brand new house. It was built in 2015. It was like 2017. Yeah. So still brand new. I did the numbers. It was probably market value like 250, you know, 250,000. And you know, this was like my first deal, straight up. Like this was my first deal. And I'm like, all right, I'm not trying to take advantage of anybody. You know, I'm not trying to twist the knife. I'm like, okay, you guys aren't in a bad situation. I'll buy it for you at market price, you know, 250. I was like, I'm off for 250 because it'll the ARV or what it'll appraise, the appraise in the area is like 300. Right. So I'm like, it's a decent spread for me.
Yeah, it's gonna go up, yeah.
Yeah, so I was like, all right, so I'm gonna buy it from y'all. So I rewrote the contract. Earnest money was $10 because I'm not putting a lot of money in any deal, you know.
And they want you to buy it anyway, so.
Well, yeah, they wanted me to buy it, but you know, I told them I somewhat misled them because I'm like, I'll buy it, but I need to make sure my partner's cool with it.
Who's your partner?
It's just me.
My conscience.
Hopefully they don't watch this video.
No, it's not good.
But so yeah, so you know, I showed a couple people, I showed a couple investors, I even showed a couple families that were looking in that area. Didn't stick. And and a couple investors were straight up on me, they're like, hey man, like, where am I gonna get my money? I'm like, what are you talking about? It's like it'll appraise for 300,000. They're like, okay, so I buy it for 250, or excuse me, I was trying to sell it for 280. I was scumbag Kazeem. So I try to sell it for 280, and I eventually kept.
No one helping you. No one's coaching.
No one was helping me. I was just figuring this out, winging it as I was going.
At this time, were you with the brokerage or were you?
No, I was still military.
I was still military. Okay.
So this is me wholesaling, you know, just doing whatever, trying to get my feet wet, you know, in real estate. And yeah, and I kept dialing it back to 10,000 after a couple weeks, you know. Got it down to 260, and I was like, look, you know, one guy was like, I was like, I buy this from you for 260. I'm paying closing costs, right? I was like, yeah. He's like, okay, so I'm paying closing costs. We'll say that's 10,000. So I'm out of pocket 270, and what work needs to be done? I'm like, no work. So it's already, you know, fixed up. And I was like, basically, yeah. So So he's like, so it's capped at its ARV after repair value. So I buy it for 270. Why would I'm not, it's too much capital to get maybe 30,000 if I flip it. Cause he's like, I don't want to hold this. I don't want to hold this. I don't like the area. And I was like, fair enough. So he's like, look, man, if it's a deal, you're not gonna have a hard time selling this. And I was like, okay. Long story short, I defaulted. I told them keep the earnest money. I can't buy the house. So
Whoa.
I was out $10 and I was on to the next, and I figured it out eventually.
Let's stop there real quick. How did you feel after that? Like what happened?
Oh man.
And see, I mean, obviously it didn't deter you from looking for the next deal, but then and there, did you feel like, what am I doing?
I was heartbroken. And I was frustrated because one, I left the couple in a worse situation they were before because they thought I was going to help them and I couldn't. And I told them, I was like, yo, I'm so sorry. I tried, blah, 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 blah. They're like, we understand, but God has his way because they're religious. They're like, God has a plan for us. I'm like, okay. But I was beating myself up because they relied on me and I failed them. Because that's one reason why I got into this game, because I wanted to help people that are like going to foreclosure, help them out of getting out of the foreclosure. Then, hey, you can rent to me now at this price and I can afford to either take the loss as long as they're good or make a little bit of money, but the family's good and I own a property with very little invested into it. That was my why at the time. And eventually I started, it didn't deter me because I knew I learned from that lesson. Mind you, I should have probably told them, hey, let's get under contract for 230.
Yep.
Because you make the money off the purchase. So if you're buying at market, there's not a lot of spread, but if you buy below market, at least you have some wiggle room to make the numbers make sense. Because I'm not a numbers guy. I told you I'm not smart, but I have street smarts and common sense. So
all you need, man, in this.
So I was like, okay, lesson learned. Go below market price, and then it'll be easier. So I took that and I ran with it. So I started making a couple deals here and there, made some quick fast money, 5,000 here, 2,000 here, 10,000. Got nothing to show for it. I spent it on turn up and good food and fixing up my house. I did it all smart home style, and that's expensive. Them light bulbs are like $50 a pop.
Yeah.
So yeah, I had nothing to show for it. And then I was like, all right, I gotta get my stuff together because I can't keep doing this, because again, it became too stressful and I just had to stop because if I didn't stop, because I was losing sleep, trying to get deals done. I had to wake up 4 a.m. to go to work. People, my work was slacking at my job and I wasn't
focused. Yeah, you weren't focused.
Because I was over here on my phone trying to get this deal done. And then they're like, yo, we got training right now. Or yo, like, what are you doing? I'm like, oh, I'm trying to make this deal happen. They're like,
so I was gonna ask that. So did people know that you were doing this?
Yeah, some people knew. They had questions. And that was also when I was getting like kind of into stocks and stuff like that, because stocks is another way of financial freedom or putting your money somewhere where at least it's better than the bank, depending on how you look at it.
Yeah. So with knowing what you've gone through, you've experienced that, would you say that you would recommend real estate investing for someone that's in the military?
Absolutely.
At least with the approach that you took on, just go, just do it.
If you don't do it now, then I would say when, because you can read all the books, watch all the YouTube videos, go as many seminars as you want, but if you're not doing it, you're not going to learn shit because you're going to make mistakes.
You'll make mistakes anyways.
A lot of mistakes. I've lost thousands of dollars and I've made thousands of dollars, but you have to do it to be in it.
Be in it. Yeah, 100%, man. Yeah, you got to get started. And I think that's what in the past I've spoken to Calvin. We had a talk last time, and one of the things that people want things to be perfect before they take that first step. And it's like, you're never going to take that first step because things are never going to be perfect. You have to really take that step and go with what you know, in a sense, and with your gut, and have that common sense, how you talked about, to learn or to get more information, so that, okay, I took this first step, now I got to take this next step, now I got to take this other third step. And so with that being said, what would you say are 3 keys, if you had, I mean, I had to put you on the spot, but what are 3 keys that you can say, or you can give someone if they're getting started in real estate, whether that's an agent or an investor? What are 3 things that they need to hone in on to really take that step?
I got it. I would say, and you may have heard this, but I would say first and foremost, find a mentor, someone that's in it, they've been doing it, they're killing it, and make sure their goals align with yours. Because if you guys are like doing two different things, it may not work out.
Yeah. Now, when you say a mentor, is this someone? Is this paid mentor? Is this someone that you just like, hey, look, whatever I make, I'll give you a percentage? How, like, because we see this a lot, right, on social media, mentor. So does this mentor, are you paying for this mentor, or is this someone you just seek in the networking group, and you kind of communicate and you talk and you build a rapport with them?
A real mentor won't ask you for money. They're willing to teach you because they like to teach people. They want to educate you. They want you to be successful. And then by that success, they will be successful. So that can be in many different ways, whether you met them at a networking event and you just started hanging out with them, and then they start telling you things and you start hanging out, they're showing you deals, or you find a broker as a realtor that aligns with your goals, and they coach you, they teach you about real estate. Because my current broker is phenomenal, Steve Shane. I went through 3 brokerages in 3 months before I found where I wanted to be at, But that's first and foremost. I don't want to deviate too much. The second would be it's okay to make mistakes. It's gonna suck. You're gonna be pissed off. You're gonna be beating yourself up. But if you learn from the mistake, then it's really experience, because it's gonna happen. You can't avoid it. Especially you're brand new. You're gonna make a mistake. And the third, I would say, be open-minded and coachable, because you never know what might come around, and what they teach you may not align with what you thought you knew, and you have to reprogram that brain and be like, okay, yeah, that makes a lot of sense, I like that, okay, yeah, I'm gonna start doing that. Because if social media thinks you should be doing this one thing, your family tells you should be doing this, and then if you're in the military, they tell you need to be like this, so fuck everybody. Do what works for you, and only listen to the people that align with your goals and what you're trying to achieve. And not just anybody, like they have to have some sort of background or proof that they're doing something with that. Because anybody could say they're an investor, but I would ask them, how many houses do you have? How many deals have you done? If they're like, oh, did like 3.
And that's how they're gonna talk.
I'm like, okay, that's dope, man. Congratulations. All right, we could probably do some deals together, but that's not gonna be my first guy I'm gonna go to. I might throw something at him, but
Yeah, yeah. That's good. Yeah, no, man, that's good, good info. And I think what's good here is that we're going to get a lot of military that they're going to identify with your story, being in military, trying to transition, finding out what's next for them in life, whether it's real estate, whether it's, whatever else they're looking to do. What's important is knowing that there is something after the military and to know that it is coming. So prepare yourself for it, right? So that's what I want to do is, I definitely want to have another sit down and get more into those type of topics with you with the transition, because we talked a lot about real estate. We got into some of the investing, but man, you got to come back, bro. You definitely got to come back.
Hey, just say the word, I'll put it in my calendar. Hey, I'll be there.
Yes, sir, man. So any last words? What I also want you to do is to so say any last words that you have that you want to have of encouragement, and then plug yourself, anywhere where people can find you, your email, social media, all that, what you have going.
Yeah, I mean, I'll put it on the screen, but last parting words. Like I said, I'm a regular guy. I made a lot of mistakes. It's okay. That's the biggest thing because I was always hard on myself when I made a mistake. And I had good leaders and mentors and family that was like, yo, it's all part of the plan. And I'm like, man, fuck the plan. I wanna get there. I wanna be there,
Yeah.
but I'm still on a journey. I'm still learning as we speak. I turned 30 in December and oh, you're young, you'll figure it out. And I'm like, I don't care. I wanna already have it figured out, but you're not gonna have it figured out. You just gotta get there. To my people in the military, there is more on the other side, but at the same time, there's nothing wrong with doing the 20. You do the 20, good, but usually most people have to work after the military, after they get, because the pension isn't enough.
Yeah.
So you have to have something in place while you're in, network with people, figure it out. My name is Kazeem Castrillion. I'm on Facebook. My Snapchat is chill. I don't even remember, to be honest with you.
Chillest vibes.
Put it in the caption or some shit. Like I'll text it to you.
Yeah.
You can find me on LinkedIn. I'm not heavy on it, but I do respond to messages on that.
Yeah.
I have Instagram. I imagine once you find one, you'll find the other. It's not hard. I have all my stuff on public because people got to find you. And I'm happy to answer questions if anyone has questions. Reach out to me. Yeah, that's it, Jay.
I appreciate you, man. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you for watching. We're definitely going to get back with Kazeem on another one and go more in depth with for military transitioning and even get more into the real estate and investing side. So for now, we're out. Later.
All right.